Hello and good morning, everyone. In this lecture, I'm going to teach you modal verbs in the context of reading and writing. Well, modal verbs can be really helpful in reading and writing, and it can help one in reading and writing in so many domains. So let's get straight to the definition of modal verbs. What are modal verbs? So, modal verbs are basically auxiliary verbs to express possibility, necessity, obligation, permission, or politeness. So basically, when we use modal verbs, so we have some function or pragmatic force in our mind which we intend to convey our meaning. So there are multiple usages of modal verbs based on the context. For example, we can use modal verbs for possibility, for necessity, obligation, permission, and politeness. Examples of modal verbs are must, may, can, could, shall, should, ought to, could, would, may, etc. Okay, so whenever we talk about modal verbs for obligations and politeness, so it is the basic ingredients of business emails. So in this lecture, we are also going to be focusing on the usage of modal verbs in business emails and modal verbs of politeness and obligation in general. And at the end of the lecture, we are going to explore two emails in which we are going to be looking at the usage of modal verbs in those emails. Okay, so modal verbs are obligation and politeness. For example, we have must. So must is a modal verb that portrays strong obligation, often from the speaker or authority. Okay, so when you are the speaker and you want a particular thing to be done and you have a strong whim or desire for that, so you use must. Example sentences: you must meet the project deadline. Seems good. Used in a you seems like that is used in a business context. Okay. The next word is have to. Have to is used for the external obligation, often rules or policies. So often we get to experience the usage of have to whenever we come across rules and policies. For example, we have to wear uniforms at work. And then modal verbs of politeness. So for in order to be polite, this is a concept in pragmatics whereby we use indirect means to convey our intended meaning. Okay, we cannot explicitly say a sentence, so we use indirect means through politeness. Okay, so the modal verbs that are used for politeness can be could, would, may. For example, if I say, could you please send me the report by 5 p.m.? Would you please pass me that mouse? Can you please help me with this project? So these kind of assertions are basically the modal verbs that are used for politeness. Now when it comes to business emails, what are business emails? Basically, these are basically the professional messages that are sent and shared between corporations nationally and internationally. Okay, now what is the importance of a business email? It builds relationships, clarifies requests, and drives actions. So whatever is happening in the firms, so through business emails, the actions are channelized. Okay, so the usage of modal verbs of politeness, especially, and obligation, especially, are really important in the context of business emails. When it comes to the structure of a business email, it has a subject line that briefly describes the subject of the email, followed by the salutation, then the body, closing, and signature. Now, in the last part of this video, we are going to exemplify some of the modal verbs that are used in the business emails. We have the first email that uses obligation, okay, in the form of must. So this email starts with you must submit your final reports by Friday, July 5th to ensure timely review. So you can see from the very first line, it is a strong obligation. In the second email, you can see the usage of have to, which is used for external obligation. So you can see here is the usage of we have to comply with the updated security protocols starting next week. So it is complying, it is employing a sense of strong obligation. Okay. Now we have the usage of modal verbs for politeness in the form of exemplification through emails. So, for example, you have could. So, could you please let me know your availability for a meeting next week? So, from the first sentence, it can be seen that the sender is making a polite request to the receiver. And in the second email, you can see the usage of should. It means that it is a kind of polite advice or suggestions. For example, you should consider revising the budget section to reflect recent changes. So it means that this is a kind of suggestion from the sender to the receiver. So modal verbs and emails are basically really important because when you use modal verbs, especially that of politeness and obligation, you basically build respectful relationship. Apart from that, you create cooperative tone and enhances professionalism and clarity. Okay. So in this video, we discussed the role of modal verbs, especially in the domain of business emails, and we also looked at different modal verbs, specifying modal verbs of obligation and politeness. And at the end, we looked at some of the examples from the real-time sample emails. This was all about modal verbs. Thank you.